Hey, it's Zero, ReviewZoneHD, and I'm bringing you guys a review for Naughty Bear Panic in Paradise, which is available out of the PlayStation Store. When I reviewed the original Naughty Bear Gold Edition earlier this year, I stated it was close to being one of the worst PlayStation 3 titles I had ever played, and it really wasn't worth buying even if you could find it used for under $20. It was plagued with issues that absolutely wouldn't allow most gamers to enjoy playing through it. However, I did enjoy the concept of that game, and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel with what they were trying to do, and I also stated when the sequel released, I would at least give it a chance. Were they able to turn the ship around and make this title enjoyable and worth playing, or is this the same old fluffy trash that got spewed on the store shelves a couple years ago? Let's find out in the review. Compared to the original Naughty Bear, this one is leaps and bounds better in all regards when it comes to the graphics. The frame rate issue that absolutely killed any chance for the original to be fun has been fixed, as I saw very little in terms of frame rate stuttering or pausing. The camera that was absolutely horrible in the original has also been redone, and it works pretty well. There were a couple instances here or there that it would go inside of an object as I was performing a special kill, but overall it handled and performed like a camera should. As far as how the game looks, it's definitely got a lot more pop in the color, and it resembles what you would expect with a tropical island setting for the most part. One complaint that I had is some of the areas are a bit too dark without any option to brighten the gameplay. And yes, I understand some games are supposed to be dark, but even on a decent LCD television, it can make seeing what's going on a bit tricky. Overall, the title still doesn't look that good when compared to most PlayStation 3 games on the market, but it's definitely a step up from the original. The original game was pretty easy in a sense that you could usually button mash your way through beating down most enemies. This title's different as they've added blocking and more lethal weapons for your opponents to murder you with, as I was one-shotted by regular enemies on numerous occasions. And when you take into consideration there's no checkpoints, and this is a stealth-based game that requires patience, those cheap deaths are all the more frustrating. Playing through a stage for 10 or 15 minutes only to run across some bad luck and have an enemy turn around at just the right moment can be pretty annoying. Speaking of annoying, if you don't kill a target bear in the way the game is requesting you to, it won't actually count as clearing the stage, which is a bit lame when you're trying to progress to the next few levels. The game certainly isn't overly difficult, but I would consider it cheap with how it's set up. If you enjoy stealth-based games like the Splinter Cell or the Hitman series and you don't mind staring at a bunch of bears mumbling nonsense, you very well may enjoy a lot of the upgrades that were put in place for this sequel. For starters, you have a level-up system and a large store to purchase weapons and disguises in, and it's not a cheap gimmick by any means. Having the correct setup can mean the difference between defluffing your enemies or being defluffed. It also adds a sense of purpose as you're playing, as grabbing an enemy from behind and dragging them into the woods grants you their costume most of the time. If you drag them too far, they'll break away, which can lead to a much more difficult time clearing the stage, as they'll alert the other enemies. They also added the field of vision radar that shows where the enemies are looking, and this alone was a huge improvement from the last title. No longer is it a question if someone really saw you or not when you're committing your killing spree. The trapping and scaring system is still intact, and the environmental kills are a lot more interesting and varied this time around.
Blocker deflection right there. That's a good chance. Shoots that one up the wall. Offensive breakaway. Score!
Nice.
If you didn't like anything about the last game, and a lot of people didn't, you're probably not going to fall in love with this one. But if you saw the potential in it, and even had a little bit of fun with the original game, you should give this title a chance and download the demo. I had originally planned to just test out the demo and do a first impressions on it, but after playing through the first couple stages, I went ahead and purchased this title as I personally thought it was worth buying. But with that said, I can already tell this game didn't sell very well on day one because of where I was placing on the online leaderboards, even when I played through a stage poorly. This type of game isn't going to appeal to the masses. It's one of those off-the-wall unique games that does something different from the rest of the pack. It's still ultra-violent and leans more towards mindless fun, but there's enough bells and whistles here that have been added to make playing through the entire game worthwhile. I'm glad the title was priced at a budget $15 as of release day, but it is disappointing it didn't receive a full trophy list with a platinum option available. Anyways, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and thanks for stopping by.